Hello there, and thank you for joining my geography class. I found a very cute map today that has the names of different countries and continents listed on it, but in a child-friendly way. So, for example, we have penguins inhabiting Antarctica. We have pandas inhabiting China. We have tigers inhabiting Kazakhstan, and also a different brand of tigers inhabiting China as well. We have lions inhabiting the areas of Algeria, Niger, and Mali, and so on and so forth. So, I was thinking about just rolling up the map itself like this and just unrolling it per the countries that we're talking about. So let's begin. I have my little trusty pencil and we're just gonna outline the different countries we're going to discuss. We're not going to discuss all the countries just because, but we'll just go over the more major players on the international floor, I guess. So, let's start off with Canada. Canada is the northernmost country, give or take, of the Americas. So Canada here has some animals featured in its borders. So it has the brown bear. Brown bears are the most dangerous of the bears. Black bears are kind of safe as long as you're bigger than the black bear. Brown bears are very dangerous. You're supposed to play dead with a brown bear. And then polar bears, the white bears, are the ones where it's just game over. In fact, they have an entire culture in Norway or in the areas that are northernmost in the world as to how to engage with a polar bear when you see one. Very high trust society, so there's a lot of rules that play into that. So then we go down and we have the United States of America, which is underneath Canada, but both countries are part of North America as a continent. So right now we're going through all the pink countries which compose North America. Now, in North America, we have lobsters in Maine, even though it doesn't say Maine, but that's where the lobsters come from. And we have moose in Oregon, or Oregon. Moose. The plural of moose is still moose. It's not meese, it's moose. So if you want to say one moose, it's moose. And if you want to say more than one moose, it's moose. So we also have cacti, allegedly, in Texas. A lot of Texas has a very diverse topography to it. So towards the Houston area, for example, it can get very hot, but it's very beachy. Towards the Dallas area, it's more metropolitan, but it's also not like a desert. It's just like, it's comparable to the rest of the Louisiana Purchase, I guess. It has grass and it's just normal, I guess. And then the more you get closer, I guess, to Arizona, the sort of like Southwest territory, that's where the cacti start to appear. Speaking of the Southwest territory, that territory used to belong to what was considered New Spain. But then New Spain broke apart and the United States ended up purchasing all of the territory that used to belong to New Spain, and it broke off into the independent country of Mexico. So Mexico is the third country that we're going to discuss in North America. It doesn't feature any birds or any animals, even though I believe the state bird is, I think, a vulture eating or holding onto a snake. and then standing in front of a cactus. They also feature the pyramids, which are not the happiest of histories. Then we go down and we get to Guatemala. Up next to Guatemala is Belize. Fun fact, your McAfee virus software technology was created by John McAfee, who is an incredibly interesting figure. And he used to reside in Belize, and he made a lot of interesting, or he took a lot of interesting actions in Belize. He's just a fascinating man. Then underneath Guatemala, we have El Salvador. Very, very impressive country. Used to be very dangerous to live in El Salvador. Then it became a wonderful place. I think it's the safest place to live in the Western Hemisphere now. And then next to El Salvador, we have Honduras. Underneath Honduras, we have Nicaragua. Nicaragua is now a communist state, I believe. So that's unfortunate. Then underneath Nicaragua, we have San Jose. Underneath San Jose, we have Panama, which is where the Panama Canal is named after. The Panama Canal is a little canal that divides North and South America. It's a little river, you could say, even though it's a canal. A channel where boats now go across to make trade. So boats will come across through here with goods like food or building materials, and they will then sell to this section of the world as opposed to having to go all the way around. Then, remaining still in North America, we're going to go to the Caribbean Sea. Another fun fact, the Pirates of the Caribbean, they all had British accents, including the pirates, like Johnny Depp. But if they were in the Caribbean, why do they all have British accents? That's merely my curiosity. If anything, shouldn't they have Cuban accents? That's my curiosity. So, here we have the Bahamas, which I believe is where Jaws, the movie, was set. It's a shark movie that hardly features the shark, which is a bit of a pet peeve of mine. That's why I prefer Deep Blue Sea. Then we have Cuba. Then we have Jamaica. Aruba, Jamaica, ooh, I wanna make it. And then we have Haiti and the Dominican Republic. Haiti and the Dominican Republic share one landmass, but it's divided in half. Haiti speaks French because the French were the ones who settled in Haiti, and then Dominican Republic speaks Spanish because the Spanish were the ones who settled in the Dominican Republic. Haiti ended up not being nice to the French who were there, and now the Dominicans are scared of the Haitians. So they have a border in between them that is very, very severe, where if anybody from Haiti tries crossing over into the Dominican Republic, they're not going to be alive for much longer. Next to these island masses, we have Puerto Rico, which is a territory of the United States. So it's not its own country, it's a territory of the United States. Because it's a territory of the United States, a lot of people from the Dominican Republic and even Haiti will try to get to Puerto Rico and kind of take advantage of the Puerto Rican society. Next to Puerto Rico, we have a long sequence of islands, including St. Kitts and Nevis, Montserrat, Guadalupe, Dominica, Martinique, Barbados. Barbados is where Rihanna is from, the singer. And then the Trinidad and Tobago, which is where Nicki Minaj is from. Now, we're going to go down. Oh, is the Galapagos? No, the Galapagos belong to Ecuador, but the Galapagos are in pink, which means that it would belong to North America. But the Galapagos belong to Ecuador, I believe. And the Falkland Islands, I think there's a battle between the Falkland Islands, between England and Argentina, where Argentina still claims the Falkland Islands belong to them, or was it Chile? But England argues that it belongs to England. So, now we're going to go down to South America. First, we're going to cover the mouth of South America. So, first we have Colombia right here, which is the entrance to South America after the Panama Canal. Next to Colombia, we have Venezuela. These are kind of like sister countries in my mind. Whenever Colombia was sort of running into hard times, the Venezuelans would help the Colombians. And whenever Venezuela, as it is currently, is running into hard times, the Colombians help the Venezuelans. I've always thought that was very sweet. Next to Venezuela is Guyana. Then next to Guyana is Suriname, or Suriname. And then next to Suriname is French Guiana. I think French Guiana speaks Dutch, even though it's called French Guiana. Or was it? No, I think Suriname speaks Dutch. I think. These countries, I don't think, speak Spanish. They are Latin, but they're not Hispanic. Hispanic means someone who speaks Spanish or comes from a Spanish-speaking country. Latin means you come from a Latin American country, or a country from Latin America. Then, underneath Colombia, we have Ecuador. Fun fact, Ecuador, Colombia, and Venezuela have very similar flags. The top part of their flag is golden, and then the middle part of their flag, I believe, is blue, and then the next part is red. Blue, I think, means nobility. The gold means gold, and then the red means the blood that was poured for the nation. And the reason they have a similar flag is because they all used to be part of Gran Colombia, which is, it was a republic that was an experimental republic after Spain lost its hold in Latin America. But much like after Spain lost its hold in Latin America, the three countries broke up and became their own countries instead. So, after Ecuador, we have Peru. Peru is where there's a lot of llamas, hence the emperor's new groove with Cusco. Cusco's kingdom, the poison meant for Cusco, Cusco's poison. Next to Peru is Brazil. Here we have a toucan bird. And Brazil itself is a very interesting country, very diverse, very dynamic. In Brazil, you'll find Southern Americans living there, especially after the Civil War. Most of them did not want to continue living under the Union, which would then impose federal law as opposed to just state law upon them. So they moved to Brazil just to preserve their culture. Likewise, a lot of Germans came to Brazil. I think a lot of Italians actually went to Argentina, hence why Argentina's accent is so Italian influenced. But there's very interesting history in Brazil. Bolivia is the heart of Latin America. Bolivia is doing pretty well, actually. It's a pretty stable country. Next to Bolivia is Paraguay. Underneath Paraguay is Argentina. I think this is a spider monkey. So, Argentina is a very beautiful country. It has very European influenced. It almost looks like Switzerland. It has very European communities there. Then next to Argentina we have Uruguay. And then to the other side of Argentina we have Chile. Chile is just basically coast to coast beaches. Now I'm going to roll this up a little bit. And move on over to a central portion of the world. So, here we have Greenland, which is off the coast of Canada and Europe. Greenland is a territory. There we go. Canada and Europe. Greenland is a territory of Denmark. It's Danish. As you can see, they have polar bears, and they also have walruses. Goo goo gajoop. And now we move over to this section. Here we'll cover both Europe, the western part of Asia and Africa. So here we'll start off with Iceland. Iceland is a very beautiful country as well. They have very beautiful pools, I guess. It's kind of like watering holes. It has very pure water there. It's from a medicine man from Alaska. So the ironic part is that Iceland is more vegetative than Greenland. Greenland is actually pretty much a floating iceberg, but yet Greenland is called Greenland and Iceland is called Iceland. Now we're going to go down to the Faroe Islands, which are also owned by Denmark. If I'm not mistaken, the Faroe Islands are also a destination place that The Lord of the Rings was filmed. It's right here underneath Iceland and above the United Kingdom. It's also, let's see, off the coast of Norway, hence why it's somewhat located in the Norwegian Sea. We're also going to go upwards and look at Svalbard. Svalbard is the Norwegian North Pole. Here in Svalbard is where they have a very interesting culture when it comes to the polar bears. Polar bears are very dangerous, very cute, but very dangerous. A polar bear might not even look like it's attempting to be aggressive or violent with you as it's gauging how it's going to grasp you in its claws. That's what makes it so dangerous, along with just its physical presence. So in Svalbard, because it is a high trust society, all the towns are not necessarily required, but urged to keep their doors unlocked. That way, if there's ever a polar bear going through their community, someone can run into any house and take refuge there. Likewise, there is garbage policies where you have to keep your garbage away from the public, so that way it doesn't attract the polar bears. And likewise, every person, every citizen in Svalbard is required to have a gun, because if they do come across a polar bear, they have to know how to protect themselves. The protocol, though, is that if there is a polar bear coming at you, you have to fire a warning shot into the air. If you don't, you'll be held criminally liable for killing an endangered animal. After you shoot a warning shot in the air, and the polar bear is about, I think, 50 yards, I believe, within range, then you're allowed to kill the polar bear in self-defense. Svalbard is basically where they do a lot of like marine biology. It's a scientist's island. Then we go down to the Nordic countries, or we continue to explore the Nordic countries. We have Norway right here, which is the furthest away. It has its own little coast right there, bordering the Norwegian Sea and the North Sea. Then we have Sweden on its other side, which is bordering the Baltic Sea. Then we have Finland, which is known for its great education and heavy metal. The Finnish schooling model, at least years ago, was considered the best schooling model. But considering Sweden's current predicament, I don't quite know how Finland is now faring. Now, Denmark is located right here. It's close to the Nordic countries, and it is part of the Nordic countries, but it's still off the mainland of Europe. Underneath Denmark, we have Germany. Next to Germany, we have Poland. In fact, 100 years ago, something interesting about how the maps of Europe have developed. Germany used to inhabit the area that was Poland, the Czech Republic, Slovakia, Austria, and Hungary. They used to be one huge country, much like Gran Colombia, as previously mentioned. But then they all broke up, and then Germany kind of got pushed into the Western territories. Then let's finish covering Western Europe, actually, and then we'll push into Eastern Europe. On the other side of Germany, we have the Netherlands, Belgium, Luxembourg, France, Switzerland. Switzerland is a historically and predictably neutral country, and it's also the banking capital of the world. Underneath Switzerland, we have Italy. Underneath Italy, we have the territory or country. It's a country, my apologies. Malta. And then Next to Switzerland, we have France. Next to France is Spain. Next to Spain is Portugal. Then we'll go into the United Kingdom. The United Kingdom is pretty much the United Kingdom, which includes England, Wales, Scotland, and Northern Ireland. But Ireland itself, Southern Ireland, maintains its own independence. So Ireland itself is its own country. Next, we're going to push into Eastern Europe, going down to the Balkans. So we covered Austria, Hungary, then we have Slovenia, which is where Melania Trump is from, I believe. I think she's Slovenian. And then where was Ivana Trump from? I think she was from Serbia. I can't remember though. Slovenia. And then next to Slovenia is Croatia, which basically takes up a lot of the coast to Bosnia and Herzegovina's distaste. Then next to Bosnia and Herzegovina, we have Serbia, not to be confused with Siberia. And then next to Serbia, we have Romania, which used to be, I believe, a Slavic country that was then Latinized. So now Romania speaks a Romantic language, or at least has a Romantic structure to their language. Underneath Romania, we have Bulgaria, and then next to Serbia, we have Montenegro. Underneath Montenegro, we have Albania. Next to Albania, we have North Macedonia, which claims to be the true Macedonia, hence why Cleopatra was from this territory. Or rather, her ancestors were from this area. I think it was her great-great-great-grandfather, who I believe was a general to Alexander the Great, but I'm probably mistaken on how many greats going backwards they were from. So, North Macedonia, and then underneath North Macedonia, we have Greece. Now, we're going to go all the way back up to Romania. In between Romania and next to Romania is Ukraine, but in between Romania and Ukraine is Moldova. Above Ukraine is Belarus. Above Belarus is Lithuania. Above Lithuania is Latvia. Then Estonia. So Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, Belarus, Ukraine, Moldova, and Romania. And then underneath Romania, we have Bulgaria. And then we have the Black Sea right here. A little sea that splits Eastern Europe from the entry or mouth of Asia. Then, as we go into Asia, we start with Turkey. Turkey does not get along with literally anyone around it whatsoever. There are historical reasons for this, but let's just say this Turkey tried gobbling up too many of its surrounding countries. That was a good one. Now, on the island in the Mediterranean Sea off the coast of Turkey, we have Cyprus, who also hates Turkey. In fact, Greece hates Turkey, Cyprus hates Turkey, Armenia hates Turkey, Romania hates, there's no country in this territory that likes Turkey. They've got no beef with Turkey. Then underneath Turkey, we have Syria. Syria used to be a Christian safe country, but now it is not, and it's going through a lot of tragedy, and it's very sad to witness, but it was also very predictable. Then underneath Syria, we have Lebanon. Underneath Lebanon, we have the Holy Land. It's a very hotly contested piece of land that has great significance for Christians, Jews, and Muslims. So it's the Holy Land. Then next to the Holy Land, we have Jordan. Next to Jordan, we have Iraq. Underneath Iraq, we have Saudi Arabia. And then underneath Saudi Arabia is Yemen. Yemen, I believe, is still, I think they might have stopped, but I think it's still the worst humanitarian crisis in the world due to its neighbor, Saudi Arabia. Then next to Yemen, we have Oman. And then above Oman, we have the United Arab Emirates, which typically is shortened to UAE. Then above Saudi Arabia, we have Qatar. Qatar is now reaching the news for silly reasons, where people claim that they have a ton of money, but that's silly. And then we have Kuwait, right above Saudi Arabia and underneath Iraq. Then we're going to go through a little land bridge. This is where the Silk Road travels through. So that's a trade route that imports a lot of goods from Asia to Africa and Asia to Europe. So we have Iran, which has a coast of the Caspian Sea and also the Arabian Sea. I'm going to unfurl the map to continue going through Asia. Oh, and then we have Russia, but Russia's part of Europe. It's this big country, very big and very diverse too. It's big. So we have Iran, and then we have Afghanistan. Above Afghanistan, we have Turkmenistan. Above Turkmenistan, we have Uzbekistan. Above Uzbekistan, we have Kazakhstan. And then underneath Afghanistan, we have Pakistan. Pakistan does not get along with India. In fact, India's neighbors don't get along with India. I think it's because of a religious conflict and also a border conflict. So both Pakistan and Bangladesh are Muslim countries. Meanwhile, India is a Hindu country. So India bans Islam, and Pakistan and Bangladesh have rituals to demonstrate their distaste for Hinduism. Above Pakistan is Kashmir, the great Led Zeppelin song. And then next to Kashmir is China. China is also a very interesting country. Their art is very beautiful. Then above India we have Nepal, and then above Bangladesh we have Bhutan. And then next to Bhutan we have Myanmar. Off the coast of India we have Sri Lanka. Do you even know what's going on in Sri Lanka, honey? And then perfect. When you go down from Myanmar, we have Thailand. Next to Thailand, we have Laos. Next to Laos, we have Vietnam. Underneath all three countries, which all share one little peninsula, they're kind of like the Florida of Asia. Thailand, Laos, and Vietnam. We have Cambodia nestled among them. Then as we go down this little peninsula, we have Malaysia, which breaks up into multiple islands and inhabits the South China Sea. Then, as we go and travel through all of these Pacific islands, we're going to see Indonesia, we're going to see Timor, Papua New Guinea, the Philippines, we're going to see the Solomon Islands. Oh, I think the Solomon Islands, no, I think they belong to the Pacific, so then that would be Asia. And then we see Guam also going into Asia. Then we go back upwards. Above China, we have Mongolia. These are all Asian countries, part of the continent of Asia. Mongolia, and then off the peninsula of China, we have North Korea, which was supported by China, and South Korea, which was supported by the United States. And then off the coast of the Koreas, we have Japan. Very beautiful culture, very beautiful country. Now, we're going to go through the Indian Ocean. Through the Indian Ocean into Oceania. Oceania is a pretty simple continent to learn. It's pretty much New Zealand, Australia, and that's honestly pretty much about it. So, then we're going to go down to Antarctica. Antarctica is the easiest continent to learn because there's only one country in the continent, which is Antarctica. And then we're going to go into our last continent, Africa. Africa has the potential to be a very beautiful and resource-rich country, or continent rather. The potential. So, here we're gonna go and start off the coast of Africa with Madagascar. And then we have a couple of islands including Mauritius, Reunion, Comoros, Mayotte, which belongs to France, and then Seychelles. And then going into the mainland of Africa, we have Egypt, which has Egypt itself is a bedrock of human civilization. A lot of Egyptians actually migrated into Europe and established the structure for their languages, including the Roman alphabet. So we have a lot to thank the ancient Egyptians for. Then, next to Egypt, we have Libya, which is where I believe Gaddafi was from. Saddam Hussein, where was he from? I forgot. No, Saddam Hussein was Libya. Oh wait, let me give this a good little Google search. It was Gaddafi. It was Libya, right? Yeah, I knew it. Gaddafi was Libya. Muammar Gaddafi, tried creating a pan-African identity where he would have Africa use its own resources as backing to their currency, much like the United States used to have their money backed by the gold standard, meaning that every dollar maintained its wealth or its worth based off the gold stored in their treasury. So Africa would use its resources to back their own currency. Unfortunately, the world banks did not like this, the international banks, for they like it when money means nothing except whatever they determine it to mean. So Gaddafi was erased, along with his ideas. Then next to Libya, we have Tunisia. Next to Tunisia, we have Algeria. Don't ask Michel Foucault or anyone who studies college courses about things that don't matter what happened in Tunisia. Then we have Algeria. Above Algeria, we have Morocco. Morocco's actually a pretty beautiful country. I kind of want to visit that one. Then underneath Morocco, we have Mauritania. Next to Mauritania, we have Mali. Underneath Mali, we have Guinea, Senegal, and a bunch of other countries that I cannot list off the top of my head. Ghana, I think, is right about here. And then these are a bunch of Western countries, Western African countries, but they're not listed. So I'm just going to jump over them into Nigeria. And then above Nigeria, we have Niger. Next to Niger, we have Chad. Next to Chad, we have Sudan. And then we go downwards and we have Ethiopia. Ethiopia is an Orthodox Christian country which uses its own, I think it has the largest Bible collection, meaning the most books in their Bible, including the book of Enoch, because their version of Orthodoxy, I think, is Nestorian, I believe, where they believe that Christ was not of two natures, being both man and divine, but rather that he was divine and only appeared as man. So they allow for more books that would support their vision theoretically, which is interesting to me. There's a lot of religious interest in this territory that I find fascinating. Next to Ethiopia, we have Somalia. Underneath Somalia, we have Kenya. Can you give it a rest? Underneath Kenya, we have Tanzania. Underneath Tanzania, we have Mozambique. Next to Mozambique, we have Zambia. Above, we have the Democratic Republic of Congo. And then above the Democratic Republic of the Congo, we have, I believe, the Republic of the Congo. Fun fact, any country in Africa that has the words democratic or republic in the name is neither a democracy nor a republic. It's pretty much just mob rule and anarchy. Then underneath the Democratic Republic of the Congo is Angola. Beneath Angola is Namibia. And then next to Namibia is Botswana. And then next to Botswana is Zimbabwe. Oh, wait a minute, where's... Yeah, that's Zimbabwe. Yep. So next to Botswana is Zimbabwe, which used to be known as Rhodesia. Rhodesia was considered the breadbasket of Africa. It used to keep the country well fed along with neighboring territories. But then Marxists, which were funded by the Chinese, ended up overthrowing the British subjects of Rhodesia, who were doing the majority of the farming and structuring of society. And after they overthrew the British subjects and the Rhodesian supporters of the British subjects, which included a lot of the African citizens, Zimbabwe then turned into a humanitarian crisis itself, where then it started to starve because none of them structured their own society after the structured society was toppled over. A similar situation is now happening in South Africa, where there is rising hunger and chaos whilst they're overthrowing the British subjects, or even the Dutch subject. Not all of them are British. The Dutch subjects, who were the ones creating farm lands and a structured society. Tragic cases, honestly. But I believe that covers the entire, or almost the entire world. So those are just little fun facts that I kind of wanted to piece together off of this new map that I found. I thought it was very cute. So I hope you enjoyed that video, and I hope you take care.